The Time Wizard, by Nardin. This story you're about to witness and hear, if it's for the first time, this is based on true events. This really did happen to me, and this has been basically a point in my life. This story, The Time Wizard, is a very emotional, moving story of someone who tries their hardest to fight for another person and to accomplish their dreams and goals, and essentially it's all comprised into one big bang at the end where you're like, oh my god, I cannot believe that actually happened. So I hope you enjoy. I'm going to dive right into it for you. The Time Wizard by Nardin, based on true events. Table of contents: the promise, the promotion strategy, the Costa Rica intensive, the sentencing, my true first success online, the life insurance gig, the pitch, the beginning of a new journey, discovering the Helping Hand Foundation, the Antarctica identity, World War III, Time Wizard creation, the battle. The promise. I was 19 years old over my buddy David's house after a meeting I just had. I was having dreams of becoming the top income earner in the company. Although I only had 7 contacts, I felt comfortable talking about the business too. I was talking to a girl from my high school at the time. We'll call her Picky. I liked her a lot of the time. She was cool, very easy to talk to, and we get along. So that night I made her a promise. I said, if I ever made it big, I'll buy you an iPad. After that, I headed into my buddy's house. A few months later, the girl and I stopped talking. I started looking into methods of online marketing. I came across many leaders like Ray Higdon, David Wood, Mike Dillard, the industry leaders. And later that year, I left my health and wellness company to pursue an affiliate marketing business. The cool thing about this company was the fact that I could market it on the internet. I wasn't a huge fan of house and hotel meetings, to be honest. So I started going through the training in the back office. The company owner recommended we start and focus on one platform. Get results using one strategy and platform, then start implementing other methods into your business. I listened. I decided then and there that I was going to focus on Twitter marketing. I don't know why. I really just liked the platform at the time. So I watched as many training videos as I could get my hands on the subject of Twitter marketing and content related towards direct and indirect response marketing. I watched hundreds of hours of training videos at this point. Then late one night, I came across a breakthrough in my life. I found someone with well over 500,000 followers, all real. And we were sitting there at my friend Eric's house talking to myself. If I recruit this kid and we recruit 1% of his current followers into this business, he's looking at $5 million a month. Oh my god, my heart started racing. I was talking to myself like, I have to recruit this kid. I private messaged his personal page. I said something along the lines of, bro, you're looking at $5 million a month if you recruit 1% of your followers on your other page. No reply. I was like, rats. It was over. The stars started to fall. Heaven sank in my heart and my dreams were crushed. Not really, but anyways, I was upset, to be honest. I was trying to think of ways to get this guy to talk to me at the time. So I asked the picky chick if she'd help me. She said no, so I was left with 2 options. Quit and give up on my dreams. Or 2, continue forward and figure out how to recruit someone with a huge social following online. The promotion strategy. A month goes by. I'm still hung up on the idea of recruiting someone with a huge social media following, but I asked a very focused question. If I recruit someone with a high following, how would I help them generate a 1% sign-up ratio? That got me thinking. I was like, how would I do that? And then immediately 2 Twitter pages popped in my mind. Success, I thought, but I need more. And over the course of 8 months, I thought of 5 or 6 more Twitter pages I could use. One of them were police tips, and other 2 were related to the boys who and to the girls who kind of pages, and the final 2 were YouTube and music related. I was planning to design the Twitter pages in a way where only targeted followers would follow them. Basically, the only people who would be following these accounts were those who were interested in the content. Once someone followed the page, I was going to drive them to a specific blog post that would capture their attention and get them to opt into a custom follow-up series. From there, I would send them daily emails professionals that will cultivate trust, authority, and find out if they're fit to work with. I had it all mapped out. I was thinking that on the Police Tips, the best teen jobs Twitter page. Then when someone followed me, I'd send them to a blog post on how to pay for their ticket by working online. Or on the best teen jobs page, I'd send them a blog post on the best 5 teen jobs or some other great method of creating income. Each account would have its own follow-up series emails that would speak directly to the heart and soul of the individual. Finally, I thought to myself, I have a way to live my dream. During this time, I was studying online marketing a lot. I was listening to Inner Circle audio in the back office of Empower Network religiously. I was taking notes and transcribing the audios. However, I was only a basic rep inside Empower Network. No one knew who I was, but I had these big dreams of becoming a top income earner. I remember I used to drive around my 2004 Honda Accord all day, visualizing myself buying a Lamborghini and owning millions of dollars someday. I wasn't talking to my friends from high school that much at this point. They were kind of demotivating and mean. They don't understand the vision or the journey of the internet marketer, so I left them. And I went on my own. I stopped hanging with people I've known since middle school. It was hard, but it had to be done. One night on an Inner Circle audio, I heard Dave Wood talking about the Costa Rica intensive and how it was changing the lives of everyone who went through it. It was also giving people access to $500 commissions instantly. So I was pretty determined to get it and go through it. Finally, my dad let me purchase it. I absorbed the training modules the best I could. They were all really good. It was training and information I hadn't heard before, and concepts like nobody wants to buy chocolate, the power of framing, viral stability, and so much more. Then I came across the last video in the series where Dave Wood suggested using paid marketing methods. I'd been talking to my friend Anthony at the time, who had a 435,000K following. He was trying to sell his account. He was asking for $2,000. I wasn't an interested prospect. I remember sitting by myself at my parents' house thinking to myself, I tried a 1% sign-up ratio. Said I'm power hour sorting out this kid's Twitter page. I remember writing the numbers down. 400,050 divided by 100, it came out to 60% on average would stay a basic member at the $25 a month level. And 40% would upgrade to the Inner Circle at the $100 a month level, and 33% of those who upgraded to the Inner Circle would upgrade to the Costa Rica Intensive, which is a $500 product. So 435,000 divided by 100 equals 4,350. 60% of 4,350 is 2,610 basic customers, and 40% of 4,350 is 1,740 Inner Circle customers. I was sitting there writing it out, and just off the basic level sales, I was looking at over $50,000 a month in income. It was late at night, and I nearly fainted at this point. I couldn't believe my eyes. I truly believed I was able to generate a 1% sign-up ratio on Twitter using these accounts and blog posts, but I wanted to talk to someone about it first. I didn't know who to talk to about this at the time, quite honestly. So I just remembered that I was so excited and pumped. So I decided to try and talk to that picky girl again. I made a promise to that I'd buy her an iPad if I ever made it big. She honestly didn't want to hear it or something. It was actually upsetting a little bit. I felt as if I had no one to communicate this to about. It was all in my head and in my notes. She ended up calling the police on me, and I got arrested a week later. During this time, like a week prior before I got arrested, I was talking to myself in my car, and I was thinking of all the people who I knew had a huge following, and it came out that my total reach was in the tens of millions. One person alone, who I knew at the time, had a reach of 10 million followers. I remember driving around in my car thinking, if I recruit this kid, I'm looking at over 2 million a month in passive sales using my promotional strategy. But I was thinking to myself, okay, what if it collapsed 3 to 6 months down the road? Then I asked the question, what would keep the company viral? And all of a sudden, an entity from the sky appeared in my peripherals and greeted itself by binding its spirit with me. It showed me a company that would provide 10 to 14 years of residual income, provide a college degree, and every single person would make money in it. I remember mapping it out in an instant. The courses, the training material, and even some of the funnels. It changed my world instantaneously. So I arrived at the courtroom for the second time. The lawyer approached me and said, "Good news, she can't get this order against you because the law changed." I said, "The law changed?" He said, "Yes, the law changed." That was a relief in my mind. So And it changed the next day, actually, after I pled guilty. It changed, like, the day we went to court, and then my lawyer showed up, and basically, she was confused that the law changed the day the next day my lawyer told the judge that we need to review this case and stuff. So when it was our time to appear before the judge, we got called back down after the chick kept asking so many questions. So then we were the last ones in the room. How ironic. My lawyer started talking to the judge. He said, "It's not about the money, it's what he's going to do with it." I answered my lawyer and tried to fill in the judge on the situation. It was a promise. My lawyer told me, "Shh." And he continued to talk, and he said nothing threatening. It was about an iPad case. I believe he told her his business plan with a multi-level marketing business. The judge looked over from Piggy's side and stared directly at me. I shook her to her core. When she looked into my eyes, she gasped, leaned back immediately, and looked back over to Piggy, and all she said was, "We'll see, we'll see." It was pretty bizarre, not gonna lie. The sentencing. 3 months later, my lawyer called me and said, "You have two options. You can either go to trial and explain why you said what you said, or plead guilty." 3 months had passed since the court date and the incident. I didn't really care about talking to the chick anymore, so I decided to plead guilty, thinking to myself, it's okay, I don't even talk to this chick. And I ended up receiving a 2-year probation sentence for what I did. Now my first true success online. 2 years had nearly passed. I was working a job at Cordman's as a boxer, because probation made me get a job. I was the guy who would unload the boxes and unbox everything for the store. It wasn't a bad gig, actually. I didn't mind waking up at 6 a.m. every Tuesday and Thursday for work. And I was also playing a game called Clash of Kings. My username was Almighty Jesus. I played a lot of Clash of Kings in my spare time. I was friends with everyone in my alliance, and pretty much the whole kingdom knew my name because of one event. It was a kill event, meaning for every enemy soldier you kill, you generate a point for that kill. The biggest alliance invaded our base and started killing off our troops. So I teleported from our hive into the biggest kingdom in space. I started to attack every single one of the little castles they had. Then when a bigger castle would pour in and attack me, I'd very quickly shield so they couldn't attack my castle. This went on for like a week. And even after the kill event, I was still posted in their base sniping people when their shields dropped. It was pretty funny. This got me known in the kingdom as brave, mainly because no other alliance had the courage to camp in the most powerful people's alliance and snipe their farms. I remember getting so much love and hate mail from people. People were calling out my location on Kingdom Chat. People were sending me messages to get out of their hive. "You're a dead man." I was trying to get everyone to rally against them the best I could, saying things in Kingdom Chat like, "We need better leaders. We need leaders who can't let us grow." This is right around the time I met Fastech and Mimo. Mimo was one of the strongest players in the kingdom at the time. However, he was friendly. He wouldn't just attack your castle unless instigated. I remember messaging him when I was in the Hornets nest saying, "Bro, we need you. Fight. This is our kingdom, not theirs. Please help. We need you." And a few weeks later, my alliance and Indeed did join forces, and we ended up taking the throne. Once your alliance has taken the throne too, your castle and some alliance members would receive special buffs in their castle, depending on what the king decides. This pissed off Fig, so a big member of Fig invaded our line, not Indies, and started sniping our members. We had to do something. We couldn't do anything to this dude's troop or castle. He was too powerful. So Mimo and Fastech were aware of the attacks, but they didn't know what to do fully yet. So we ended up joining forces again. We routed against a big castle that he had 19 mil power. I only had 3 mil power, and it took me like literally 3 months to get there, so it was kind of nerve-wracking. First rally we hit successfully, so we started a second rally, successful hit again. At this point I turned on my camera and started recording it, and I start the video out with, "Oh fuck." I thought he was asleep, but I wasn't 100% sure, so I was just like, wasn't too sure how long these attacks were going to last, so I was kind of recording it the best I could. And we ended up zeroing him. I uploaded the video of us zeroing this guy to a brand new channel, and within 3 days the video I published had well over 3,000 views. Success, I thought. That's when I started uploading Clash of Kings videos. I was following the trainings and teachings I learned from internet marketing. My channel started to blow up. I turned like 300,000 views in like 2 or 3 months for free. This is literally 2 or 3 weeks after I got on probation, so I was pretty excited. I started to work at Outback Steakhouse part-time as a host. I didn't mind it. I had so much abundance flowing through me at this point that I didn't really mind where I worked at for a little while. But as the months went on, I couldn't shake the dream of becoming financially free on the internet. Then I was introduced to my next opportunity, the life insurance gig. I've been working at Outback for over 6 months at this point, doing YouTube part-time, and I was still enjoying working at Outback, but I just wanted something more. I found it to be tedious, and it was taking all my nights. My friend Eric, my roommate, attended some meeting for a life insurance gig. He recommended I go and check it out, so I went later that week, and I ended up getting hired. I made $1,000 for the first day on the job. It was amazing. It normally took me 2 weeks to make $1,000 at Outback, and here I was getting in my first day. It was a breath of fresh air. However, it was hard adjusting to the schedule they had me on. I was literally from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, calling leads and booking appointments. I wasn't used to that. I was used to sleeping in until 2 or 3 p.m. and staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning. And then tragedy struck. The agency decided to kick me out because I was always late or not there for the Monday meetings. I had a 97% show ratio when I was fired, and my heart sank. I didn't want to go get another job. I wanted to become free. At this point, I kind of quit YouTube because I was working so much. So I didn't have any other option. But then it hit me like a truck. My promotion strategy, I screamed. My promotion strategy. I must finish it. Then I spent the next 40 days working on promotion strategy. I didn't understand much about sales videos, and I had a lot to write. I wrote about 58 blog posts, filmed 9 different sales videos, wrote out about 2 or 3 7-day follow-up series sequences before I even made a single sale. Then I came across the gold mine. I was 24 years old. I had a promotion strategy that was designed to sort out their Twitter handles and get X% of their followers to join the business. It wasn't perfect, but I knew it worked to a certain degree. My thinking on how to run my business at this time was this. I was going to find social media influencers to promote my content. Then I would generate them leads and sales in the business. All they'd have to do is promote the content I gave to them. Then we'd hold a weekly live training meeting where we would train the team and recruit more people. It was a pretty solid plan, easy to do, easy to manage, and it could provide a very nice income. After burning through my list of my little promoters on my personal page, a lot of them told me they could see a lot of the bigger accounts promoting my content for me, and they were kind of waiting for them to join this hype or global takeover train I was envisioning. So I ended up finding the biggest social media network on social media, and I decided to pitch them. This network was the Get Me Famous network. It was comprised of thousands of social media influencers. They made up a reach of over 300 million followers online. My pitch was something along the lines of this. Hey, Get Me Famous Network, my name is Nardin. I believe I may have a system your group may be interested in using. Estimating that as a network, you guys could generate anywhere between $500,000 to $5 million a month in revenue as a network. I remember being in my buddy's lake house, sitting in his chair. He went to sleep, and I had previously spent the whole day filming sales videos for my promotion strategy. I remember rereading that email over and over again, then pressing send. My reality changed that night. I saw my spirit enter the internet and then bounce. My spirit bounced back to me. I was staring at the site. It was strange. The next day, no one contacted me, so I wasn't sure if my message was being received or not. So I decided to pitch them again and tell them about my education multi-level marketing business and what it potentially could do. So I wrote another email. I have a company idea that could eliminate student loan debt. I see a way for students to go to school, get a degree, and receive 50 to 100% of their money back on college expenses. This way our children and students won't be in so much debt, which the author of Gabriel really can't do. I left it at that. No response from the media still, but at this point I was set on working with this media group. I was starting to piece together a strategy to keep the team together for as long as possible. This was my thinking, okay? I was planning on recruiting a couple of social media influencers and having the other influencers in the network join them. That way not everyone's going to be under me. I thought this method of building the team from the beginning was the best. I was certain the strategy would avoid conflicts later on down the road, but I needed that head person in the group. This person would have to have been the first person to join, and the rest would fall. So I was typing out a message to the group. I was just talking about keeping the group together, and as I was staring at my computer screen, then Ty Lopez popped in my mind. I was like, perfect. He's perfect. He will see the vision. He will understand it, and we'll rock solid team together. So I mentioned his name in the email. I thought he was a part of the network. 3 days later, I go to his YouTube channel and started watching some of his previous videos. One of his videos, he was giving away money to the homeless. Another one of his videos, he was with a kid. Ty was talking, and at the end of the video, it was like he was talking to media. He said, millennia. Then he walked to his left, pointed at his computer and said, pointed at his computer screen and said, that's a better world. I was sitting in my computer chair in my room, in disbelief a little bit. I wasn't sure if he was talking about my company or not. I couldn't tell. So I kept watching his videos that night. I was itching for more information. I was like jumping up and down my seat. And I clicked on a video of Ty outside of a jet. He was talking about someone or a company that was about to make billions of dollars, $30 billion. That right there. Hearing Ty say that, $30 billion, and seeing how big his eyes were, it rocked me so hard. My spirit got sucked into the internet, and I pushed and hit a very weird barrier in my life. I literally felt the weight of my soul nearly collapse over the next couple days. It was so heavy. I didn't know how to process my reality after that event. For like 5 straight days, my mind was so captivated by what it had said. I was able to hold the billionaire title mind shift in my mind, but not with my promotion strategy only. I had to go to the time when I met that spirit that shared the education multiple marketing business with me to even process that kind of income. Even though I was still struggling with holding my reality, I didn't want to talk to them about this because I didn't think they'd understand, to be honest. So I pretty much kept it a secret. My friend Coop, my roommate at the time, he could tell something was up with me. I was flying and thought I felt like Jesus Christ, the Messiah at this point. I was seeing myself walking the streets, freeing and healing people's lives with how much freedom I had running through my brain. Then a few days later, I felt a huge weight on my spirit. I felt like I dropped the internet or my identity. Something smushed me when I'm sitting in my living room. And a few days, like the new beginning, like a few days had passed since this event, and I got smushed. I was laying in bed dreaming what Ty had said in this video. I was obliterated at this point, by the way. And I thought back to my court case, and a voice echoed in my ear and said, Sean? Somehow my spirit registered that I was the piggy girl's spirit. I remember sitting by my bed after that and saying to her, how are you talking to me? I was kind of confused. We went on to talk a little more, and I started to believe that I became telepathic with the world. Like, during this time, I would think of someone, I would see their face, my peripherals, and my spirit was able to connect with them. And I was like, it was like they could see through my eyes, feel what I was feeling, and even talk to me. It was a rather embarrassing, but very interesting thought process. This is some very strange things started happening in my life. The Helping Hand Foundation. So I realized that I may have telepathy now. I started thinking about my education multiple marketing business and what it can do for the world. And I soon realized that when I did set up this company, I would take a lot of business from universities. I could see thousands of students going through my degrees program, all debt-free. So I was trying to think of ways to keep schools in business. I didn't want to take all their students, truthfully. So I had thought of a program called the Helping Hand Foundation. This foundation would essentially give students at any university 10 to 25% back on college expenses. I was planning on funding this foundation through the ARC. It was a foundation for people that was designed to help them. The Antarctica. At this point, I was a little off my rockers. I truly didn't know what was going on. I was hearing voices from spirits saying I was telepathic. The late one night around 8 or 9 o'clock, I had just walked in my room and I saw Vladimir Putin's spirit come down from the heavens. He said, Antarctica? I said, yes. I was kind of grinning a little bit at this point. I was like, oh snap, this is not real, no way, it can't be. But then Putin and I started talking. We talked for a while. I started talking Putin about a way to recruit a bunch of new distributors in my business and a possible stepping stone to step into the free people dream world. The first draft of my idea was to recruit through schools. My plan was to run special events at high schools. One event was going to be an exercise program that would be held on Saturdays or Sundays for the students and the parents. The second event was going to be held sometime during the week, and it was going to be like an event for people who were interested in working from home. I had it all mapped out. Honestly, if I truly did talk to Putin through telepathy, he was very understanding of my ideas. It seemed as if he believed in them. Like, as the weeks and months went on, the spirit started to summon people. I thought how it worked was pretty weird. The spirit would say someone's name, and then I'd see an image of that person's face, and my spirit would somehow loop them through to my realm. From there, the person or spirit would be in my time, and they could see through my eyes with telepathy. That's pretty much how it worked. It was a rather strange thought process. I kind of stayed away and stuck to myself at this point. But after like 3 months, I started to really open up to the idea that I was beginning to become okay with it. Did my best to enjoy the company of these spirits and have fun with them. So, close to 3 months in with my telepathy, the spirits and I really started to play around with it and see what we could do. It was actually really cool and fun at the time. We would usually spend our days talking about heaven, hell, reapers, souls, angels, all stuff that was really interesting regardless of the situation. And one day I was sitting on the stairs into my apartment, and the President of the United States connected with me, President Trump. I showed him some of my ideas, what we could do for the country together. When we talked for a little while. We were driving around the 4th of July, 2017, talking to the President of the United States about freedom and peace for all. It was an exciting time. And one day, shortly after talking to Trump, the spirits and I decided to have a battle. Russia joined forces with me in the United States, so it was us versus ISIS, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. I remember laying there in bed, seeing soldiers pour through my walls and attack the bad side, and the enemy side would attack. It was just a huge brawl of spirits colliding and fighting at the same time. It was so awesome, truthfully. We were playing out this scenario so well that eventually the picky chick got nominated to be a spirit saver. She would pop up and occasionally and everyone would be like, she's back, grab the wounded, never leave a soldier behind philosophy. Then a lot of spirits would hop on her and she would float away, then we'd battle some more and she'd come back, and then she became a spirit guide. It was pretty neat. Then Time Wizard creation. Have you ever heard of that wizard in science fiction movies or novels where they talk about an entity that like controls the fabric of space-time? Well, later that night, during this World War battle, I was driving my car. We were still battling a little bit, but we mainly postponed the battle because I was getting food. So when I got back home, the Iraqi soldiers were on the left side of my desk, ISIS were in the middle, and Saudi Arabia was to my right. I was sitting in the middle of the bad side team eating. Then an Iraqi soldier lunged at me. So I punched him. Then he went zipping around in a circle, kind of like a vortex in front of me. It caught my eye because he was zipping around like a greenish dimension. So I stuck my hand out inside the vortex to stop it from spinning. He hit my right hand. He stopped and then dropped into a different dimension. Then he vanished. All the other spirits at this point were saying, "How'd you do that? What'd you do, boss?" I was like, I didn't know what I did, truthfully. So I tried to shake it off and lay down. But what I had just witnessed and done kind of spooked me. And a greenish dimension started to appear in my peripherals. Some of the spirits were being sucked into it too. I didn't know what to do or how to stop it. So I went for a drive trying not to think about that soldier at punched. Then China popped up and said 1.4 billion. A second later, all here in the background is zoop. Then I see the entity I had previously punched get lifted. I mean, talking lifted. This thing went fucking soaring. After I saw the soldier go zipping around my peripherals, I didn't know where it went. I was still driving my car this time. I just remember seeing him for a second and hearing this zip noise. The enemy team started talking and popping up in a twisted dimensional states, and I was driving some like things that it's like saying things like to me like, "I can't sleep, boss, help." At this point, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help them. I went to my buddy Nick's house at like 2 a.m. because I didn't want to sleep in my apartment that night. However, when I tried to sleep and close my eyes, I'd hear, "Oh, Antarctica, oh, Antarctica, oh, Antarctica." and I'd see what used to be that soldier of that floating like a fairy in front of me. The spirits were saying they couldn't sleep either. I know I had to do something, so I decided. So I decided to head back to my apartment. On my way home, I was trying to figure out how to stop or capture this thing. Because by the time I left Nick's house, this thing was talking to me in some rather strange things. And saying some rather strange things. When I got home, a surge of energy erupted out of me. I was determined to stop this thing. When I got home, I could see the soldier teleporting through my apartment occasionally. I'd see a glimpse of it. However, I started to realize that this thing was channeling its energy through me. So I devised a trap to capture it. So as I sat in my thinking chair in my living room waiting for it to pop up, sometimes it would pull through me and pop up right in front of me real fast. So when I tried the same trick again, I stuck my hand out and caught it in midair. I kept my hand closed, not to let it escape. At this point, I was trying to forget all about it, but I couldn't. I had to deal with it, so I was trying to figure out what to do with it. I remember that I wanted to lock it up in a safe place. It had terrified me that it was harming people in their dreams. I had to do something with it. So I slammed it in my mind, thinking that was the only place that could hold this entity. And I hear the words, "Time Wizard has stopped." After I caught the Time Wizard, I tossed him in the back of my mind. The other spirits kept talking about the Time Wizard and how much juice it had. I wasn't too comfortable with the idea of it at the time, just yet. I was actually very spooky to focus on, truthfully. I wasn't sure if it would break out of the cage it was in. I was telling the spirits, please don't talk about that thing anymore. I don't want to hear about it. And as I was laying down, trying to sleep, my focus was drawn to the moment I captured the Time Wizard. The moment I slammed it back in my mind, then I heard the zip again. It startled me out of my rest. I saw it again, floating casually in my room. I was shocked. It started talking about how I go to hell for creating it. That the one who holds the Time Wizard goes to hell. I wanted to disagree with it, but it was spooky. I didn't know what to say, but finally I mustered up the courage to ask why. Time went on to try, and then the Time Wizard went on to try and reap every single person on my time. It started chanting, "Reap all souls, reap all souls, reap all souls." One by one, the Time Wizard was calling people out by name, and people on my time were disappearing and manifesting behind it as if they'd been reaped, and they'd followed. It didn't make any sense. I was still listening to it while laying in bed. Then it started to attack the celebrities, picking my friends. I was actually courteous to the spirits that talked to me because it was actually an interesting thought. This is one of the first times where I didn't know whether to respond or not. Then it targeted Ty, and then Ty popped up behind it, almost as if captured by this thing. That pissed me off. I screamed, "You creep, Ty Lopez! You mother effer!" And I swung at it, miss. It got angry though. It told me not to do that again, and then it called out Olivia, and I was like, "No, Olivia!" She popped up behind it like Ty as well. Then it called out a few more names, and they all appeared behind it. It was saying things like, "They won't feel a thing since you're spiritually connected to you. This is your fault. Your fault, Nardica, your fault." I didn't know how to take responsibility for this mess. I just knew I had to stop it. So I swung at it again, and I hit it. I knocked it back. The Time Wizard cried, "Stop that, now." I swung again. Hit. I knocked it back. I could tell I was doing damage to it. It was getting the spins, and it kept telling me to stop, but I couldn't. It was threatening the existence of my people. After the final blow, it was a backhand. I was laying in bed with my face down. You see the Time Wizard in my mind's eye hovering and siphoning energy off of me, so I swung with all my might and popped it. I knocked it back into a different dimension. It looked as if it were KO'd. Then a small Pac-Man looking creature popped up and dropped out of a different dimension at the bottom of my staircase. It was white. It had a mouth and eyes. It was pretty small, I'm not gonna lie. I got up bed to check on it and see what it was. I could see my mind's eye. Then when I approached the steps, the Pac-Man looking creature creature focused in on me and started to float up the stairs towards me. I kind of stood there in disbelief. Eventually it reached me, then it proceeded to connect itself to the left side of my head. Above my ear, I asked, "What is this thing?" The spirit responded that it may be the Time Wizard's secret weapon to control space and time. Interesting. So I focused on it, and as I did, I felt a surge of energy come coursing through my bones. As I was beginning to focus on this new, inchier creature, I focused on the spot where I initially punched a soldier during the war. As I did, a beam shot out of me and shot into the center of the vortex, and I believed it opened up a healing portal or a transport portal. I saw my friends and everyone in the Time Wizard following him on the other side of this portal. I got them through and back to me all in one big surge. It was relieving. I could see the people I cared about again. I was working on transporting them back to safety, but I wasn't sure if Time Wizard was going to wake up. I brought the Picky down to the realm I was in. I was planning on bringing everyone back down and home after this was over. Most people, when I brought them back to our side, they floated up to a new realm or dimension of my room, almost like a safe house, I thought. Almost an hour had passed. It was nearly 5 to 6 in the morning at this point. It seemed too quiet. And all I hear is zip. I peek over at where I had left the Time Wizard. He was up. He was telling me to give back his timekeeper. He kept saying, "Give it back, give it back, give it back." At this point, I had transported almost everyone back to a safe dimension in my room, so I thought. The Time Wizard then went on to try and attack my friends again and started chanting again and calling out names. "Reap all souls, reap all souls, reap all souls." This time was a little different though. It didn't have its timekeeper to help it control the force of time. I had it. I knew something. I knew I was going to have to use it again or something. Because this time when Time Wizard started chanting, he started sucking spirits into his realm. Time Wizard portaled outside my apartment complex parking lot. It was still chanting, "Reap all souls, reap all souls, reap all souls." At this point, the people from the Get Me Famous network were being sucked into the new Time Wizard's dimension. They were being sucked. There were so many different dimensions in an instant, I thought. He thought he was doing harm to their heads or spirits, but I didn't know how to stop him. So I ran outside and down my steps to confront the Time Wizard. Then as I did, it portaled in my room. Then I went back inside, then it would portal back outside. Repeat this process 2 or 3 times, and after the 3rd attempt, the spirits and I realized that this thing couldn't or didn't want to be in the same location as me, so I devised a trap to stop it. I run downstairs while I'm running to my car. It was still preaching, "Reap all souls, reap all souls, reap all souls." It was my room, and I remember I was outside listening to this thing, and I heard an old man say, "Go, go, go." I rushed to my apartment, opened up the door, and stepped inside as fast as possible. The Time Wizard wasn't able to react in time, and all I hear is an electric shock that goes boom, and it was like lightning. It was like a lightning bolt with the power of 1,000 men came crashing down this Time Wizard's head. The Time Wizard went through so many different dimensions after that. I saw it all. Then he obliterated Picky's spirit, and she said she transformed herself into a Reaper that was going to go after him. And I couldn't really sleep at this point because I felt so bad. So I tried to, and it was kind of just like, what the hell is going on, Sean? I can't even. This is just nuts. So I went to my parents' house and to sleep. I fell asleep for like 2 hours, and I left my parents' house. When I woke up, my mom was freaking out at me because I wasn't talking to her. So she called an ambulance. I was taken to the hospital that day, and I couldn't really explain the Time Wizard situation. So I said nothing to the paramedic. I was like, I might need to die though, because I thought this thing was like reaping people and killing people in the real world that like from far away, It was strange. And in the hospital, the Time Wizard did stop. So that's kind of the ending. That's my short story on the Time Wizard. I hope you enjoyed it. There was a lot more stuff that happened with the Time Wizard and stuff later on, but I didn't want to mention it in this book. However, if you'd like another interesting book of mine, check out the meeting where I met God and the Archangels a few years later after this event. So other than that, if you enjoyed this video, enjoyed this book, show us some love, leave a comment below what your favorite part is. Feel free to share it with some friends. I'm trying to get this book going out there and getting it big. So feel free to share on social media. Be like, this dude's story's crazy. Most crazy story you've ever heard in your life. If it is the most crazy story you ever heard in your life, feel free to let me know. I'd love to talk to you. And other than that, subscribe for more. And I will see you in the meeting. Take care.